Okay, so man, it took like half an hour to upload that first interview. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot I had that one. I save everything, folks. Everything. Like everything. And then some. You just don't know what I have. You never will, you fuckers. Either way, this is the CD copy of my interview with Mayora. I actually have the guy's business card, no less. I'd like to also throw in a little factoid that when I was in custody, I can't remember if it was the second or third. It was the second time before they threw me in the fucking grinder and maximum security at the Twin Towers, compliments of Luna and McDonald, who was the sheriff at the time. But that again is ancillary at this juncture. My public attorney and the public attorney's office sent investigators to 65th place and apparently were trying to convince everybody I was a public menace. I even have one of their business cards, okay? That's the kind of treatment I was getting from fucking Dobie Gillis, my public defender. God, it was just so ridiculous. I'm sorry, folks, but I'm not feeling good. And I'm actually feeling quite satisfied because when this shit hits the fucking ground, these people are doomed. Fucking doomed. And you know what? I've reconsidered my settlement uh, demands from the city because I'm pretty sure once this shit hits the air, I deserve a hell of a lot fucking more money. And I think I've arrived at the figure of $5 million. Do you hear me? $5 fucking million, okay? And I want it as soon as possible. You people are so fucked. I couldn't be happier right now. If I felt better, I'd be doing cartwheels around this decrepit fucking dwelling. By the way, are you ever going to do anything about this fucking nightmare? Oh, this is ridiculous. Okay, so here we go, folks. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to do what I did the last time. I'm going to try to calm down for one thing. I'm really sorry, folks. You just have no idea. After I had to listen to that last interview, it's really got my adrenaline going. But you know what? I got Dusty over there. I got some good weed. I got some good coffee. Sun's coming up. I'm handling shit. It's like Tupac said. Sometimes you just got to hit the green to maintain. So it's helping me quite a bit this morning. And sleeping out in the RV was nice because I finally had some warm, dry air after I let the thing run for an hour. Anybody gonna pay me for the gas? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I digress. Okay, so let's give it a show, huh? Shall we?
Couple of questions. Is it mine? Do you have any problems with me recording the conversation?
No, no.
Okay. The claim that you filed with the city uh, states that your civil rights were violated, and let's see, what else does this say? It really doesn't give that much information, such as the date. Can you tell me what happened? I need a date of occurrence, a location, address, etc. I don't have any of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you can, if you have questions for me, I'll give you my email and send me all the questions you need answered, and I can either send you back an email or call you about the specifics.
Is it is it possible for
I
you
have
to
a
let me
couple
know
different
what
ways.
happened?
Oh, honestly, there's sort of two different situations going on here. One is I announced I was going to get involved in the mayoral election, and I did so on Facebook with the mayor's wife, one of my Facebook friends, and I intentionally did that. And I also added some criticism of the mayor's policy with those statements. And I had a subsequent visit from a pair of Long Beach police officers.
Do you know who the officers were?
I actually didn't record their names. I can identify them through photographs. Um, it was
And
the
where did
first incident. This was two different incidents, actually, sort of like three. But the first incident was in June or July of last year, and it was witnessed by three different people. So I can get you the information about that. I gotta track them down.
okay, where did this occur?
It happened in a garage space I was renting. The garage is on Covina. I have to get the apartment building address. A friend of mine lived in the apartment unit and was letting me have some space in the garage behind his apartment to store my work equipment.
Okay,
I have to
so
go get all this information for you so you can
right.
have address, the name of the guy still lives there. He was there when the police showed up, and they
What did the
asked him
police
if I
say?
had. I asked him 4 different times why they were there, and after the fourth time, the one officer who wasn't doing the questioning stated that I might look suspicious sitting in this garage.
Oh,
Um,
were they there on a call or were they there on a just driving
well,
by?
they apparently were just driving by down the alley behind the commercial businesses here on Second Street, and according to the questioning officer, they saw my feet sticking out of the garage door, so they stopped their car and got out and walked up to the garage, and then when they began questioning me, I was actually sitting in the garage.
Okay, so
And
what is part of it is this relate to the city? Is that a violation, or is that what you're saying? They
well,
can't do
that
that.
kind of began a pattern of other events. They questioned me at length. They ran me for warrants or whatever, questioned all the neighbors, and then they took my social security number as they left.
Okay,
Shortly thereafter, I began getting swamped with emails from every credit service under the moon, and I've been waiting until I finally made some official notice of this with the city or some legal body before I contacted the various credit services and see if or how many credit inquiries have occurred or other things like that.
okay, and
Um,
are you're positive these were police officers?
Absolutely. While they were questioning me, the manager of the BJ's Pizza was standing in the back having a cigarette with an employee, and a man pulled up in a new Mercedes and stated to the officer that was questioning me, "Can you help me? Someone just stole the $5,000 spare tire accessory off of my Mercedes SUV." And the questioning officer looked over at him, and actually everybody who was standing seeing this was surprised. His reply was, "What do you want me to do about it?" The guy in the car kind of looked at him, and he was like stuttering and sputtering, and finally he said, "Is there somebody I could call?" And then his partner looked at him and gave him a look, and then he started going, "What's your name?" And he started writing the guy's information on the same information card that he was using to question me. And finally, the guy just drove off and said, "I'll go to the police station or something." Now, that whole incident,
Were the officers in a plain car or were they in the black and white?
they were in uniform.
In a full uniform. Were
Yeah,
they driving a plain car or were they driving a
they
black?
were in a patrol car.
Okay, so the first officer that approached you was he Hispanic, white?
Yeah, he's Hispanic, he's bald, he's kind of stocky. I can identify him on the picture. The other officer was white, short, dark hair. He was a little taller than the Hispanic officer. Um, in later developments, I had made more comments on my Facebook page about the incident, and those two officers were no longer patrolling in the area during the night shift. They suddenly were patrolling during an earlier. They got changed shift, and then after a while, they apparently got transferred somewhere else.
Okay, so this you're talking about a year ago, last June 2013,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
have to
talking
look and check the date.
right, and you're talking around Covina and Second,
Yeah,
correct?
I was in a garage that was in the alley between Laverne and the next street, which I believe is Covina.
Okay.
Covina or Corona. I believe it's Covina. And the garage was in the alley between the homes on Covina and Laverne on the south
Was it north of Second or is it south of
South.
Second?
South. It
South.
was the apartment building is 2 doors south of the Jack in the Box there, with the former now BJ Pizza next door.
Okay. And so you're saying the officers used your Social Security cards to
They've done something. I've had an intense amount of activity with my credit ever since then, but I haven't, as I stated, I didn't want to ask any questions about it until I had stated for the record that it had occurred, and then I was going to contact all the various services and see what's been going on. I have not, in the last several years, even inquired about my credit rating.
So
I have all the emails.
when you're saying the officers may have used your Social Security card to apply
I
for
don't know
credit.
what they did. I have no idea what happened other than I suddenly came to the attention of the credit service about a
So
week after it occurred. I
so
saved
you're
all
not
the
saying the officers did it. You're saying it's just coincident that this happened.
something cosmically, timingly occurred right after that.
Okay.
You see in my emails, I wasn't receiving any for months, and then suddenly I'm receiving all kinds of other.
Did you
credit
ask for? Did you
repair.
speak to a supervisor or did you make a identity theft report?
No, I didn't know if actually anything had happened. Like I said, I haven't investigated what may or may not have occurred with my credit because I, all this time, have been letting basically whomever's doing whatever they're doing continue doing it or whatever. I didn't want to call up Experion or TRW or whoever and say I was a candidate for mayor and suddenly my credit started getting tampered with.
Again.
I wanted to wait until there was some report like I'm making with you before I contact.
Okay, so you haven't made a stolen identity report and
No,
you haven't contacted the credit bureau. And
no,
you're
I
saying
wanted
the
to
reason
wait.
why is because you wanted to wait to see if there was going to be any other investigation, correct?
I wanted to make an official statement to either someone like you or the DA or the FBI or whoever saying, okay, this occurred. Now I'm going to contact the services and see what happens.
Okay.
Now,
So,
that was the first incident.
okay.
There was another one shortly after I began campaigning for Congress, and this happened recently.
Okay. How long ago did it happen?
This would be in May. I can give you the specific dates on that.
Okay.
Maybe some ranch too. Yeah, I'm gonna come in here. I'm sorry, you caught me while I called you, and I didn't expect you to get into an extended conversation. I just ordered some food.
Oh, okay.
I would have called you earlier today, but I have been painting a 3-story building, and I was 30 feet in the air for most of the day.
Okay. So at this point, you said it was May. Do you know what date?
It was the Sunday before the nomination period deadline, which I think was the 18th. I had filed my intensive campaign for the 47th Congressional District on Wednesday, the 14th, I believe.
Okay.
I had 6 days to gather my nomination signatures, and I had to have them in on Tuesday by 5 o'clock.
Okay. So then what happened?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, contacting constituents and gathering signatures. Sunday afternoon, hold on, I'm looking for a napkin here. I went back to my residence, charged my phone,
Okay.
and
Go ahead.
now when I entered the campaign for mayor, my residence address was on Laverne. Subsequently, during the mayoral campaign, I moved into a friend's house over on the peninsula. I began being the caretaker of his property because he had just put it on the market for sale.
Who's this friend?
His name is Eric Wilson.
Okay. Do you have his contact information?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were staying at this location?
Yeah, I believe it was in March that I moved over there.
Okay.
Before the house went on the market, shortly before the house went on the market.
Okay.
So then I put that address as my residence address on my congressional campaign document. Because I lived there
What
about
is the address?
5701 East Seaside Walk.
Okay. And then what happened?
I went home to charge my phone in the middle of the afternoon. When I got there, there was a police car idling at the end of the street facing the sea. I walked around the house. I didn't see any police on the property or in the house. I went up to the second story deck. I plugged in my phone, and I was out on the deck having a cigarette. Two police officers walked by on the boardwalk. I had walked back into the room that allows access on the deck. I heard the side gate open and close. Now, the gate the front of the house faces the ocean. Well, actually, I guess you could say that. The ocean-facing part of the house, there's a gate that's on the right side, and it's about 7 feet tall. Well, 6.5. And the only way to open the gate is to step on the neighbor's little waist-high fence and reach over and unlatch the latch, because there isn't like one of those strings that goes through the gate. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now I heard the gate open and close. Now it sounds just like the next door neighbor's gate. So I had assumed that somebody just went in and out of the neighbor's front patio to our left, or I guess east of the house. Yeah. So I heard the gate open and close, and then I heard police come out with your hands up. And now I'm standing upstairs, and apparently the police had let themselves in the gate, and they had now entered the kitchen door. I left the kitchen door open for ventilation when I came in the house. Now, like I said, when I heard the gate open and close, I thought it was the neighbor. So when I heard police come out with your hands up, I actually didn't take it seriously because I didn't think the police had actually just come in the house. So my reply was, really? And then I heard, Long Beach police, come down here with your hands up. I said, okay. So I came down the stairs. I had a cup of coffee in one hand, and my other hand was empty, and I had my hands up. And there was two Long Beach police standing in the kitchen with their guns drawn. And they ordered me to sit on the floor, and then they began demanding that I show them proof of residency or they were going to arrest me. At that point, I told them exactly who I was, that I had permission to be there, that I was there under the full knowledge of the real estate broker and the homeowner. I said, would you like me to call the homeowner? And they said, sure, do it on speaker. I called the homeowner, and I told him that if I get his voicemail, you're going to hear chickens on it because we just bought a place with a bunch of wildlife down there. So I got his voicemail, and I told him that this is Rich. I'm at the house, and the police are here, and they're going to arrest me unless I can prove I live here. So then I proceeded to call the real estate broker on speaker and leave her a message. Now, both people's names and numbers were clear on my phone to the police. While I was waiting for the real estate agent, one of the officers went upstairs, grabbed my overnight bag, a laptop computer, my leather jacket, something else, and took it outside and threw it on the front deck. All the while, I'm sitting on the floor. Now, at one point, I asked them, do you know that I ran for mayor? And they both looked at me, and the one goes, we know exactly who you are. You're some homeless guy that hangs out in front of Starbucks. At that point, I said, well, you know what? I find it to be an incredible coincidence that every political who's who in this city knows that I am running for Congress against Alan Lowenthal. And here you are trying to throw me out on the street. At that point, the questioning officer said, we're out of here. And then he said, we're going to come back tomorrow, and if you don't have proof of residency or a key, we're going to arrest you. Now, I had explained to them that Eric had one key when he moved out, and it went into the lockbox for the real estate brokers to use. He gave me permission to have the combination to the lockbox key, but the real estate broker refused to give it to me. So it was acknowledged by Eric and by the broker and by everyone else that I was to come and go through the kitchen door. So I did not have a key, but I had a legitimate reason to be there. So they stated that they're going to return on Monday and they're going to arrest me unless I have a proof of residency or the combination to the lockbox key. At that point, they left. And as they were walking out, and I was following them out to gather up my property from the front porch, I told them that I find it terrible that the whole time that I was campaigning, I was defending them and their pensions, and here they are trying to throw me out of my house. And then they walked away and got in their car and drove off.
Was this
Then,
the same unit that was on the other call, Hispanic and the white
I
guy?
do believe one of them was, they were both white guys
Okay.
on the second occasion.
And they're both in full uniform and in marked black and white vehicle. Correct?
Absolutely. Again, someone saw this. The neighbors to the east, whose gate I referred to earlier, were actually out of town, but they had a bunch of their friends watching the house. They were guests in the house. And when the police were interrogating me in the kitchen, a bunch of them came out of the next door house to go somewhere, and the police asked them if they knew who I was and if I had permission to be there. And the people stated, yes, our friends told us that there was someone living there. And then they left. Later on, I came back and I got the one gentleman's phone number, and I can provide that to you. I just don't actually, I think I can have it on a lot. His name is Larry Flint, and he is from Sacramento. And I asked him if he was willing to testify that he saw what occurred. Yeah, here's his number. Well, actually, maybe he's not from Sacramento. Or his kids were, but either way. This witness to the May event, his name is Larry Flint. His phone number is 562-833-8097.
Okay, he was there when the officers arrived at
Yes.
5701
Yes,
Seaside
the
Walk.
officers were in the kitchen and walked out of the kitchen to ask them if they knew who I was. And then they said that they knew that someone was living there.
And how long had you been living there?
It's about March.
So you're talking March, April, May, about 3 months?
Yeah.
And you don't have a key to the location. All you have is to go in through an open kitchen door.
Well, the side kitchen door is behind the gate. You can't even see it from the front. You have to go through the gate to even see the kitchen door.
Okay.
In the meanwhile, I've gotten the garage door code, so I go in and out of the garage when I need to.
Who gave you the
Lock
code?
the house. Well, there was more activity at the house after that Sunday. Apparently, since the word apparently got out on the street that it's okay for homeless people to hang out at this house because, well, let me continue here. So I most definitely felt that I was being intimidated and that I was being threatened to not file my paperwork to run for Congress. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Did they tell you that, the officers?
No, but the way they reacted when I told them that I was running for Congress, it was surprising to them, and it tells me that they were sent there for one reason, and when they found out that it was a lot heavier, that's when they split.
So there was no actual saying that because you're running for Congress that we want you out of this house. Is that correct?
No, they did not state that clearly. So I went and filed my congressional documents the next day anyway. I subsequently did not qualify. I was notified on Tuesday. I went Monday and filed my documents at the Norwalk County Courthouse. I was told I would be notified within 3 to 5 days whether or not I had qualified. Now, I'll tell you this right now. At the moment the police showed up, I had 43 signatures. I needed 40 to 60 to qualify. I had every intention to go back out and gather more signatures on Sunday and on Monday. But given the event on Sunday, I did not continue gathering signatures. I did submit my documents because I wanted it to be part of the public record. On Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday, I attempted to go notify the DA of what had occurred. And I was basically ignored and told that they don't speak with the public. So then I went and tried to tell the FBI. And I went to the federal building, and I was told that they moved to the World Trade Center. So I went over to the World Trade Center, and I went there, and they told me they moved out, and they didn't leave any forwarded information. I said, fine. So I went over to the prosecutor's office, and I filled out a meeting request form. And on that meeting request form, which I did take pictures of, it was a 2-page form, it turned out, I stated that I had an electioneering complaint regarding Suja Lowenthal and Robert Garcia that I wanted to file. I also listed the first incident that occurred with the Long Beach Police in June of last year. I listed the recent Sunday event that occurred when I was trying to run for Congress. And then I also listed the fact that I have had a terrorist threat criminal complaint filed with the Long Beach Police Department since December 8th. I have had my life threatened now 5 times from a criminal that the Long Beach Police Department knows about, who is a collections guy for a San Pedro bookmaker who lives on the peninsula. I've given them all this information. Now, I was threatened on 4 different occasions by this gentleman. His name is John Harris.
This is the third incident. This is not related
This
to the
is the
first 2.
4th incident. Now, I am alleging and accusing numerous officials of gross negligence because I filed my criminal complaint with Sergeant Jones after the 4th incident. This guy chased me around in the street in front of the 7-Eleven over here by the pier for 15 minutes in front of dozens of people threatening to kill me. He had already chased me around in the street 3 previous times in front of a liquor store on 2nd Street, in front of the United States Sailing Center, and then again somewhere else.
Okay, so 4 incidents you're talking about, correct? One
Now,
on December the 8th, 2013, is that
no,
correct?
December 3rd was the last one.
Okay, the 3rd. Okay.
Well, no, that was the last one before I filed a police report stating this guy keeps chasing me in the street and threatening to kill me.
Okay, Mr. Harris is a different incident than the other 2, the one in June and the one in May, correct?
Now, I filed my criminal complaint, and I gave them all the information they needed to investigate Harris and his boss. And I didn't say anything until the middle of February. And after I finally called the detective division and asked them what was going on because I was still getting threats. They assigned a detective. Detective Matsuburu, I believe is his name, Matsubura or Matsuburu. He called me, and I gave him all of the background information on Harris. The detective then showed up at my work. At the time, I was working at the Decanter Liquor on the peninsula on 62nd Place. Harris is a field sales guy for Young's Market Liquor Distributor. The first incident between him and I occurred when he came into the store and started an argument with me. Subsequently, it was after that that he started pulling his car over when I'd be walking down the street, jumping out and chasing me in the street. I actually notified his superiors of Harris's continued threat at my workplace, I believe the day after Thanksgiving. They apparently emailed his top, and then like his top 2 superiors were emailed and notified that I had complained about Harris showing up and threatening me and requested to have him not come to the No, this was, I believe, in November, whenever Thanksgiving is. This was before I filed the police report. Now, Harris continued to show up and threaten me. He actually told me that if I was going to try and do anything at his work, I should get a lawyer first, or something along those lines. Oh, the day after I filed my police complaint against him, he went down and tried to get a restraining order against me and tried to serve me with it, and I didn't accept it. And I never showed up to the court date, and nothing ever came up.
So that's the first one. That's with Mr. Harris. The one.
Now, let me finish telling y'all this, okay? So the detective showed up at my store and walked away and just never said nothing other than introducing it to me. Now, that insulted me. That was in February. I have not heard a word from the police department since. And I have been continuing to get threats from Harris. Now, just recently, I was walking down the bay side of the peninsula, and Harris was sitting on a patio at, I do believe, 6302 Bayshore Walk, which is the bay side of the peninsula. That is the address. He was sitting there with the homeowner. I came walking by. Harris made some comment to me about being a homeless loser or whatever. And I turned around and said, I'm not homeless. Grow up and get a life, Harris. His reply was, get out of here or I'm going to kill you. And then he stood up and threw a glass of wine at me. Now, this happened in front of the guy that lives at 6302 and a bunch of kids on the beach. After that, I turned around and kept walking. So you can go talk to that guy about. Now, that happened, I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And that's when I sent an email to, I think, Easy Price or somebody. And that's how you guys probably heard about it.
Okay. So right now.
So I would tell you right now that the city officials, Halbert, the chief, the detectives departments, have all been well aware that I have had my life threatened numerous times out here on the street. Now, all the time that I was campaigning for mayor, I was making numerous allegations about the above mentioned people, including Foster and Garcia and the whole Lowenthal dynasty. And I am telling you right now, they intentionally did not allow an investigation to continue because they wanted to leave me out on the street in hopes that harm would come to me.
Do you have anything?
That is why I'm alleging they are guilty of gross negligence. They've been well aware of the situation for a long time.
How do you figure they knew all this?
Because I've told them. I mean, I've sent numerous emails to Halbert's office over this past several months. He is very well aware of who I am.
And so you made a report of a terrorist report, correct?
Terrorist threats. I have the picture here. I'll give you
you made a police report, correct?
Yeah, December 3rd.
So that's already being investigated by the Long Beach Police Department.
No, it's been completely unpursued.
Okay.
You know, I think you ought to ask the detective what happened.
Okay, so that was back in November, December. Then in May is when you were accused of trespassing in a house that belonged to a friend of yours.
Oh yeah. So on Wednesday, following the Sunday incident with the police, I notified the prosecutor's office.
Are we talking
this
about?
This is this past May, the second incident.
Okay, second incident. Okay, so
I notified the prosecutor's office and said that I wanted a meeting with him. This was on Wednesday, I think the 21st of May.
Okay, did you meet with him?
I submitted those documents, and he ignored me. He never even replied. On that following Friday, now for some reason, immediately after the first Sunday incident, a bunch of vagrants started showing up at the house and hanging out.
Did you know any of them?
They were all strangers to me. They were showing up and playing guitars on the lawn in between the two houses.
Did Eric
They
give
were
them permission to
sleeping
stay
on the
there?
lawn. What's that?
Do you think Eric gave them permission to use the house also?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Now, on Friday, I was away working. I got a call from the real estate agent. The police were at Eric's house and had arrested a homeless guy in his house.
The same house that you were staying in.
Yes. Now, this is a week after the first Sunday incident. Now the police were at the house, and they had arrested someone. Now, the neighbor who called the police told me that a vagrant-looking guy showed up and was hanging around out in front of the house. And then after a certain point, he jumped over the sidewall and went into the house.
Okay, so he was
Now,
trespassing then.
yes, but what I'm telling you is he was making it very obvious before he trespassed.
Okay, so that part happened a week after you were talked to about trespassing, correct?
Yes. Now, throughout that week, like 4 different vagrants showed up and tried to hang out.
Were you still
Saturday,
staying at the house?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's my home. It's where I live, you know. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Okay, so you were still living there and these vagrants showed up. Did you call the police?
No, I just, the first they showed up, I wasn't even at the house. And I went past 57th place on the bay side. And I looked over on the lawn that separates the two homes and saw what looked like a kind of vagrant-looking guy and woman sitting on the lawn playing a guitar.
Okay.
Now, all of this time, the real estate agent has been wanting to call the police at the drop of a hat. So I notified her that there were now a pair of hippies playing guitars on the lawn. And her reply was, "Do you want me to call the police?" And I said no. And then about 5 minutes later, they came driving by me in a little silver Honda Accord. So somebody told them to leave. Now, the Saturday after that, now all this time, the real estate agent, who has been making all kinds of bizarre decisions, like she had the gas and water turned off right after she listed the house, later admitting it was a mistake, and actually did it the day before the house cleaners were supposed to show up.
And what's her name?
Repeatedly.
What was her name?
What's that?
What was
her
her
name? Is Anne Marie Ashley.
Anne Marie Ashley.
Ashley. She works for Villa Real Estate. The sign's out in front of the house.
Okay. Villa.
Now, I've been making numerous allegations about malfeasance and corruption involving property development. And this real estate agent has been making life hell for me at this house.
So where are you living at right now?
I'm still living there. I went into escrow on the 25th of last month, and I have to resettle somewhere by the 25th of this month.
Okay, do you know what your address is going to be?
I have no clue. I was notified on the 1st by the real estate agent.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you again, Mr. Camp, is what civil rights are you talking about that are violated?
I had an unwarranted search, detention, and interrogation.
So you're alleging that the officers did not have a warrant to.
They had zero reason to come into that house.
Okay, so you're saying they had zero proper cause. They shouldn't have entered the house.
They never even explained why they came in.
Are there any other civil rights you were talking about?
Well, what do you call it when the city prosecutor and the chief of police refuse to prosecute a criminal complaint when it involves me receiving death threats?
Well, all they could do is what they do is they file misdemeanors or felonies, depending whether it's the district attorney or the or the prosecutor does the misdemeanor ones. What they do is they review the case to see if they have enough to go to court.
They didn't do anything. They have completely ignored it. You know what's amazing too?
Was there a report made? You said a police report or anything made?
You have to ask the detective. I made a criminal complaint. I took a picture
Okay,
of it.
now we're talking about the first, second, or third incident. The first incident was the one in the alleyway. The second one was Mr. Harris. The third one was the house sitting. Correct? Let me get that straight.
On the Friday.
Am I correct? When we're talking about the first incident is the June 2013, where your feet were sticking out in the alley and the police asked you a question. The second incident was Mr. Harris threatening you. The third instance was the house sitting. Is there any other incidents involving that in part of your claim?
The party is a number of current and past city leaders. If you want me to give you a list of who I am claiming are basically conspiring, I'd be delighted to.
Okay, so are you going to go ahead and file a formal claim for damage report?
Definitely.
Okay, as soon as you can, you have the claim number C14-0385. Return it to City Hall or to me here at the City Attorney's Office. I'm on the 11th floor in City Hall.
How do I do that?
Well, you could either mail it to us or you could bring it down.
How do I get the, where do I get the claim form?
You can either get it at the city clerk's office or you could get it online at www.longbeach.gov under the city clerk's or the city attorney's website. And you get the form, fill it out, sign it, and then send it in to us.
All right. Well, what this simply boils down to is I began criticizing Bob Foster's policy decisions and announced that I intended to compete in the mayoral election. After that point, there began an entire series of events. What I told you are just the ones that involve people that you can check. Now, it all started with Nancy Foster on Facebook, and then it spread out from Bob Foster, Gary DeLong, Suja Lowenthal, Robert Garcia, Patrick West, Patrick McDonald. Now, this also, if I file a claim for damages.
You already did.
Well, technically I didn't.
Well,
now, that's kind of why I'm calling.
They're treating it as a claim now. That's why we need to continue. Now that the claim has been filed, you need to get that information to me so I could present it to the city attorney for review.
I'm going to tell you this. This isn't just about two police showing up on two different occasions asking me a bunch of questions. It's about inferred intimidation and threat so that I don't compete in the election. Now, there was a whole raft of other plausibly deniable incidents that occurred along the way.
Okay.
Now,
can you go ahead and send it to me so we could put it as part of this final? What my job is to get all the facts and present them to the city attorney for review. Now, as soon as you get that to me, the sooner he can make a decision as what to do with the claim. Okay, Mr. Camp, thank you very much. I'll be looking forward to your
case. As long as you understand that. Now, I personally do not have any beefs against the police officers themselves. I have serious problems with their leadership. I have claimed over and over again that pension reform or the threat of pension reform has placed all of the CalPERS pensioners under duress. So as far as I'm concerned, those officers were under duress and having to enact illegal orders.
So,
and I hold their leadership responsible for that.
What I'm saying is, do we have any type of proof to show that they were under orders to respond to you because of your
Well, I'll
views?
tell you what. I'd love to leave it up to a civil jury to gauge all this entire pattern of events that's gone on for the past year and decide for themselves.
Okay, and I'll
I
be looking forward to getting all that information so I could present it to the city attorney. All right.
All right, so I got to download the file and mail it to you,
You
or
could
drop it
mail
off.
it, yeah, or we could send you a copy, send you a claim form, or you could just pick one up at
Can
the
you
city
email
clerk's
me a
office.
claim form?
No, they're not email. We could mail one, but it's easier to go online and get it because if you have a computer, it's right there. Or you could just pick one up here at the city clerk's office and fill it out.
Now, on there, will I be able to list who I'm basically claiming damages from
Of course, that's what a claim form is.
and why?
Exactly. All right.
That's fine. All right. Well, sure. I'm sorry if I've been a little long-winded about
No
all this,
problem.
but it's been a difficult year.
Okay, as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll try and I actually have to. I have work obligations. I'll tell you this right now.
Do you want
I've
us
been a
to mail
professional
you?
detailer.
Do you want us to mail you the claim form?
No, I'll download it and print it out tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.
Can you really believe that, folks?
Couple questions.
Oh,
Is it
oh,
mine?
well,
Do you have any problems with me?
can you actually believe that? It's interesting that these videos are here, so I'm just going to highlight them. What will they do? They're going to kick some ass. That's what they're going to do because that's what they're really good at. I'm actually proud of President Trump right now, and I'm happy to say that. But in other stories, yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, you guys really fucked up. And the big question is this. I think about $5 million is probably enough. And I think you should consider yourselves lucky. And if you dilly dally, I'm going to fucking double it. Okay. And I'm going to like double the damage claimants, or excuse me, the people I file charges against. So here we go. This is second of two. And yeah, I basically am really angry right now. You know what? I'm going to try and contain myself. You know, I've been on a real serious quest to try to restore fundamental government to this city because it's just been such a disaster. Our former mayor, Beverly O'Neill, bless her heart, has just been completely disgraced by you fucking animals. You disgraced Governor D. I'm just so disgusted with the state that you've left the city in. I was so happy to live here. This was Mayberry on the beach until you fucking predators came along. DeLong, Foster, Halbert, McDonald, fucking Luna, you piece of shit. Why don't you just fucking eat your Mossberg, you piece of crap? Fuck you. You know, I'm so just completely disappointed. But you know what? I'm undaunted, folks, because you know what? I got my friends, I got my family, and I have my faith. I'm just gonna keep going. Fuck you, people. All right, just, God, please, just treat these people the way they deserve. Just do the city a favor.